What's happening, Hardscaper's first project of the season? We've got a pool patio surround extension. Let's get into this.
Client reached out, said, Mike, I've got a deck halfway around my pool. It's a safety hazard, it's falling apart. What can you do? We drew up a plan, deck is coming out, pavers going in. Let's show you what we're doing with this project.
Initially, there was a rotten on-grade deck here, and we tore that out completely, and we started our excavation. Already run into problems with that excavation in the process of why there's so much gravel mounted here, and we're gonna actually have to move it again, but we'll get into that here. One of the problems we're experiencing on this job site is an increase in time, not only in the excavation and the amount of material that we're bringing out here, but also with the rain. And it's raining right now, but on excavation day, it rained. The topsoil was completely soaked and I planned on excavating. The machine would have got stuck back here, so I didn't. But then the following day, I had aggregate coming to be delivered. Along with that would have been our pavers. And in a single lane driveway, we needed to have everything go properly. We needed to have the excavation done, aggregate dumped, bring the aggregate back, dump it, and then have enough room for the Moffat, the forklift, to actually deliver our pavers into the driveway. So something went wrong. Now we're having to double lift our aggregate now, which is unfortunate, adds time, as well as the extra time in excavating down to our subsoil. Still need to clean this up a little bit more. We're about just an inch left to get down to that subsoil. A lot of people ask me, how do you know when you've hit the subsoil? Well, you can distinctly see the difference in color between the subsoil and our organic soils here. So we know at a certain point we've hit our subsoil, and the problem with this job is there's so much topsoil, and we're gonna have to clean this out even more, that we're going down 12 inches from the top of our grade down to our subsoil to then start to build up our base. So even more than we had even originally thought. But then we can start to lay out a layer of our 3/4 into it, compact it, and then we can start to build up our base using our open graded aggregate. Our open graded aggregate is open, it's clear of fines, so there's no fine material in this, so the water is going to drain nicely through it, whatever water does get into it. But this is going to be a nice little paver pool surround, and a retaining wall in the back. Once again, need to clean this up a little bit more, and that retaining wall is necessary because with our paver height matching the concrete here, it's perfect to get to the bottom of that fence line. But as we come across that bottom of fence line, and with that wood that we're taking out before, you can see where those fence posts, where it would actually line up. Pavers would come to about here, and that means that there would be our base material right against this fence. So we do need that retaining wall to be able to retain our base material. But problems on the job site, we solve them. We do what's necessary to ensure our clients got a great looking project. We've got border, so it's gonna be 2 Velagio pavers going around. And then as we get over here, this is already cut in, it's gonna branch off, so it's gonna be 1 Velagio paver around the entire concrete, and then 1 Velagio paver coming around for the border. Some things to consider: this gate is just wide enough to get our machine in, but with the different levels here, it's just unsafe to bring the machine back and forth. So we're actually loading up our gravel at the curb and bringing it out here. just a little bit more safe, especially with our electric wheelbarrow. It's not a lot more effort and labor to go into that. We've got a single lane driveway, so it's narrow, so our material is put in there, and we've got our bin all loaded up. But this presents logistic issues, especially with timing aggregate delivery and bin drop-offs, and as well as our paver drop-offs. So that's given us some troubles. When it comes to excavating paver patios, we dig down typically about 10 inches, and that has to do with the depth of our base, which is 8 inches, 6 to 8 inches, but we typically go about 8 inches for our base. And then we have a 1-inch screed layer. And then following that is our 2 3/8 of an inch pavers. If we hit that 8-inch base mark, we're around 11.5 inches anyways. This one, we're going down well past 12 inches. So we're adding a little bit more to our excavation here, as well as the tight access of having a very narrow pathway into that pool surround without destroying their plants that they wanted to keep intact. We're having to make a very light turn around here, and you can see I'm actually dropping off the material at the side there, and we're gonna have to double pick that up later to be able to dispose of it. And that's just because the rain day really set us behind on this one. So we planned the excavation the day before gravel drop off, but that day it rained. I would have got that machine stuck in that tight access area. So I decided to hold off on excavation. I did it the next day just before the gravel delivery, but all I did was just stockpile it there, as well as stockpile it in the corner of the patio. I just did a complete excavation on one side of the patio and got down to my subgrade, compacted, and then stockpiled the gravel there. And that's why you see so much gravel mounted on that one side of the patio. You'll see me using my high precision altimeter to check my depth from top of concrete down to bottom of subsoil. That's just to make sure that we have enough for our base, our screed layer, and our pavers, so checking that height. I didn't catch it on video, but we also installed our non-woven geotextile, and then we started stockpiling our aggregate. We decided to drop the aggregate off at the curb, and this is just because we didn't want to destroy their interlock paver driveway. It's already got lots of dips, but with what seems to be just soil in the joints and just curbs, these small little curbs for the edge restraint, it would have been very easy for us to twist our tracks and twist those interlock and just destroy their driveway. Their driveway apron is actually concrete, so we had it dropped off on the concrete. Could have done it on the grass too. It wasn't a lot of gravel, it was about 10 yards. So we just decided to drop it off at the driveway apron and scoop it up from there. We did 2 separate 5-yard drop-offs of this aggregate, and that takes me about 3 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours to move that into the backyard following this path here. Okay, we've drawn our line here. We're gonna cut this. This is gonna be 2 Villaggio pavers along here, and then it'll split off one for the rest and then one around the back. And then with a little bit of time, this is actually before we even had the gravel drop off, and when it was rainy, I decided to scribe in my cuts along the concrete paver side of this patio. And what we do here is we mark it with a compass. So we just take the width of 2 pavers, we spread our compass to that width, we draw a line just following that concrete, and then we do a quick cut, and that's not a deep cut at all. We just want to make sure our line does not disappear, that we don't lose it. So just a very quick cut to scribe it into the surface of the pavers. Then we go back to the beginning and start from fresh, but we do a cut all the way through down to the bottom of the pavers. So that's what you'll see us doing here to complete this cut. Sometimes the rain holds off for you, sometimes you get soaked. I hope this video's helped you in some way. Any comments, feedback, leave it in the comment section there. Like this video if you found it helpful for whatever reason, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more hardscaping content like this. We'll see you next day on base prep on this project.